in January. In fact, the 26th day of January in 1944. It was the same year Peter Tosh was born. And she was born in Birmingham, Alabama. In America, they say Alabama. But we say Alabama. My brother, my sister, her father was a member of the Episcopal Church. And he was such a powerful man in the church. Her mother was simply called Angela Davies. And she was another powerful black woman. My brother, my sister, the family lived at a place known as the Dynamite Hill. Dynamite Hill, right there inside Birmingham, Alabama. Now, they were a middle-class family. In other words, they were not poor and they could not be considered as rich. And they were a middle-class family. My brother, my sister, they moved to live at a place known as the Dynamite Hill, which was normally occupied by white people. To see black people in there, there were terrorists who tried as much as possible to clear all the black people in the area. They hated to see black people in the area. They wanted to see all white people. So what did they do? They started bombing the houses of black people in Dynamite Hill. A lot of houses were bombed in the early 50s. And those houses were bombed by people who were white. And they were terrorists. They wanted to intimidate black people and get them out of the white vicinity. My brother, my sister, she had to move and stay with her uncle who lived on a farm. She loved the vibe of the farm. The birds that will be singing every morning and then early evening. All over the place. She loved the chirping of the birds. She started to study the birds, to find out the names of the different birds and how they migrated and so on and so forth. Sometimes she just loved to cook on the farm using firewood. She loved the smell of the wood. And she loved the smell that the wood gave the food that she cooked. Oh my God. She loved the farmhouse more than even her dynamite home. My brother, my sister, today we're talking about Angela Davies. Her story will blow you away in just a jiffy. My brother, my sister, she had two brothers, Ben and Reginald, and a sister by name Fania. Ben played defensive back for the Cleveland Browns and Detroit Lions in the late 1960s and early 1970s. She started school at the Carrie A. Toggle School, which was a segregated black elementary school, and later Parker Annex, a middle school branch of Parker High School in Birmingham. Now, during this time, Davis's mother, Sally Bell Davies, was a national officer and leading organizer of the Southern Negro Youth Congress, an organization influenced by the Communist Party aimed at building alliances amongst African Americans in the South. Remember, I told you the mother was very, very powerful. Sally Bell Davies was her name. Our heroine for today, Angela Davies, grew up surrounded by communist organizers and thinkers who significantly influenced her intellectually and politically. And she lived with that up till now. She's about 79 years today as we speak. My brother, my sister, and she is still, in fact, with that mind and political stand that is her here at the age of 79. My brother, my sister, remember, she was born in January, the 26th day of January. My brother, my sister, very soon she'll be 80 years old. This is Angela Davies. Well, so when she went to school, She was surrounded by communist thinkers, and she picked up that as an early development. My brother, my sister, she was also involved in a church youth group as a child and attended Sunday school regularly. She attributes much of her political involvement to her involvement with the Girl Scout of the United States of America. My brother, she went to junior high school, and then she went to high school, my brother, my sister, and she graduated from the Elizabeth Irwin High School in Greenwich Village. There she was recruited by a communist youth group called Advance. This was the beginning of it all. Now she also went to Brandeis University, my brother, my sister, in Waltham, Massachusetts. She encountered the Frankfurt School philosopher Herbert Marcuse, and this man changed her thinking. So this is Angela you see here as a young woman actively participating in political activities. She met a Frankfurt School philosopher by name Herbert Marcuse. Please put up the photograph of Herbert Marcuse. Herbert is spelled H-E-R-B-E-R-T. Marcuse is M-A-R-C-U-S-E. Herbert Marcuse. Herbert Marcuse became a mentor, and he taught her a lot, and even encouraged her to go all the way to Germany to study for her degree. And when he finally left and went all the way to California to continue, our heroine for today, Angela Davies, decided to follow Herbert Marcuse all the way from Germany to California. This is Herbert Marcuse, a very powerful philosopher. He's shaping the life of our heroine today, Angela Davies. My brother, my sister, she decided to study French for a degree, and she succeeded in doing that. My brother, my sister, while completing a degree in French, Davies realized that the primary area of interest was philosophy, and that was her primary area of interest. So she particularly moved away from whatever she was doing and decided to follow Marcus, as you were told, not just his ideas, but also to follow him physically all the way to California, where he had relocated. My brother, my sister. And she ended up graduating from different universities from around the world. My brother, my sister. She graduated from the University of Frankfurt for her graduate work in philosophy as inspired by Herbert Marcuse in 1965. My brother, how old was she in 1965? She was 21 years old. My brother, my sister, when she finished it, even though she used to get some small monthly stipend of $100, she was able to make it happen. And she studied very hard to be able to make it happen. Now, interestingly, the Girl Scout in America also supported her so much. Her upbringing and even more. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the Girl Scout. Remember, I said Girls Scout. Girls Scout. I'm going to tell you something about it. It's an all-girls group, right? I'll tell you more later. Now, hear this now. Then she joined the Black Panther, and that was when everything changed. Oh, my God. Now, she was part of the Black Panther and the Transformation of Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And she began serious activism. At the same time, Angela Davies was beginning to study for her postgraduate work. Hey, remember her mentor was now at the University of California in San Diego. And she met him there and started studying. My brother, my sister, for her postgraduate work. Now listen to the interesting thing. She traveled to London to attend a conference on the dialectics of liberation. Now, the black contingent at the conference included the Trinidadian American Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, who later got married to Miriam Makeba and moved to live in Africa permanently. And then there was also the British activist known as Michael X. Although moved by Carmichael's rhetoric, Davies was reportedly disappointed by her colleagues' black nationalist sentiments and their rejection of communism as a white man's thing. She joined the Che Lumumba Club, an black branch of the Communist Party USA. My brother, my sister, she loved communism, and nothing would stop her from being a communist. Hey, she earned a master's degree from the University of California, San Diego, in 1968. My brother, my sister, how old was she in 1968? She was 24 years. She also completed a PhD in the same university in 1970. 2 years later, when she was 26, but the FBI confiscated her manuscript. In those days, it was handwritten. They confiscated it and they decided to keep it away so that she will never ever graduate. They claimed that if that was published, it will mean a lot negatively to the people of America and beyond. So they decided to confiscate her final thesis. But that only spurred her on to do more. Universities gave her a doctorate degree. My brother, my sister, honorary. Now something interesting happened. She was invited to be professor at the University of California, Los Angeles in 1969. And she became a part of it. Now, beginning 1969, she was an acting assistant professor in the philosophy department of the University of California, Los Angeles, that's UCLA. My brother, my sister, at that time, 2 other universities were looking for her, Princeton and Swarthmore universities. And they tried to recruit her, but she chose UCLA because of its urban location. At that time, she was known as a radical feminist and an activist and a member of the Communist Party USA and an affiliate of the Los Angeles chapter of the Black Panther Party. The university did not know this before they picked her. And when they realized that this was who she was, quickly, they sacked her. That was the beginning of the big trouble. And you know who also instigated the sack of this woman? The President of America, Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan considered her as a dangerous terrorist. The FBI was already looking for her and had put a tracker on her to be able to locate her every time. Her thesis was so powerful, it was seized by the FBI and never ever was released. Yes, the university knew she had completed it. They went ahead to give her PhD, and 2 other universities did that. My brother, my sister, with or without the thesis, they knew she had completed it. When she went to become an assistant professor, my brother, my sister, the FBI came in again, and Ronald Reagan used his power as the president to have her sacked, and she went to court. The court overturned it and said you cannot sack her because of her affiliation with a political party, the Communist Party America, USA. They reinstated her. Now this happened, my brother, my sister, in 1969. Same 1961. 69, I beg your pardon. And her annual salary was 10,000 American dollars. Today, if that is calculated in 2022, it will be 61,520 American dollars. That was what she was receiving as yearly or annual salary. My brother, my sister, interestingly, see what happened right now. They reinstated her to the assistant professor position. But the following year, in 1970, they sacked her again, this time around citing inflammatory utterances. What did they quote her as saying? They said she addressed some students who were brutalized by the police and referred to the American police as pigs. Pigs, you know what a pig is, right? Pigs. And that the university decided to sack her for inflammatory speeches. She left. She was a full-blooded member of the Black Panther Party. She decided to go buy guns because her life was threatened. She bought the guns. Sometimes she even gave her guns to some members of the Black Panther Party. And then something happened. There was something that got to be known in history as the Soledad Brothers. Who were they? And Angela Davies was a powerful supporter of the Soledad Brothers. They were inmates who were accused and charged with the killings of a prison guard at Soledad Prison. Now, on August 7, 1970, heavily armed 17-year-old American high school student, in fact, he was African American, his name Jonathan Jackson, was actually sponsored. And these are the Soledad Brothers. And look at the brother at the end on my far right. He was a Jackson. He was a brother of Jonathan Jackson. And he was called George Jackson. He was a member of the Black Panther Party. And he was one of their major writers. He could write so well. In fact, he even wrote a book in the blood, in the eye of the blood. My brother, my sister, they were arrested for killing a certain prison guard, and they were taken to prison. The prison was known as the Soledad Prison in California, so they got known in history as the Soledad Brothers. These were these brothers. My brother, my sister. Now, George Jackson's younger brother, who at the time was 17, by name Jonathan Jackson, went to meet up with Angela Davies and collected guns and rented a car to go after the Soledad Brothers and release them from prison. The day the judge was sitting on the case, he went there with his gun and he asked the media to film the whole thing because this was injustice. The judge was picked up, but fire for fire between the 17-year-old, and there you can see him with his guns, and those following him, some of them were the Soledad Brothers. Unfortunately, he lost his life, and the brother George Jackson also lost his life as police opened fire, and there was fire for fire. There was only one survivor amongst the Soledad Brothers. My brother, my sister, the judge, Harold Harley, was also killed in the fire for fire, the crossfire. And when it was checked out later, the guns were checked up and they realized that the guns were actually purchased by Angela Davies. She was the one who had given the guns out to the young man to go and do this thing. My brother, my sister, they were looking for her to arrest. And as they were looking for her to arrest, she ran away. At the time, the director of the FBI was called J. Edgar Hoover. He listed Angela Davies on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitive list. And Ronald Reagan described her as the most dangerous American terrorist. Ronald Reagan. She was hiding. She only came out at night, hiding on farms. And unfortunately for her, she came out one night and there she was arrested. It was the 13th of October, 1970. FBI agents found her at a Howard Johnson Motor Lodge in New York City. She had absconded all the way from California to New York. At the time, it was President Richard Nixon who was the president. And he congratulated the FBI on the capture of the most dangerous terrorist Angela Davies. So 2 presidents referred to this woman as the most dangerous terrorist. She went to court. She appeared at the Marine Superior Court and declared her innocence before the court and nation. She said, I now declare publicly before the court, before the people of this country, that I am innocent of all the charges which have been leveled against me. But even with that, they locked her up for 1 year in prison. And then later, they dropped all charges against her and set her free and asked her to walk. Later, she declared that she was a lesbian. How did she become a lesbian? She became a lesbian from the Girls Scout. Girls, supi, supi. My brother, my sister, she was not interested in having any connection with any man. Her activism had grown so strong. She became a very powerful feminist. My brother, my sister, this woman has gathered thousands and tens of thousands of people. She's written a lot. She's given so many philosophies that are helping the world. My brother, my sister, she traveled all the way to Cuba in 1972. And she was received by Fidel Castro as a member of a Communist Party delegation in a 1969 meeting. My brother, my sister, many times she even met with Assata Shakur, the mother of Tupac Shakur. Together, they fought for the liberation of black people. My brother, my sister, Assata Shakur herself left America and relocated to Cuba, where she's still on the wanted list of the Americans. My brother, my sister, she also went to the Soviet Union in 1971. She was a very powerful woman, and she's still that powerful. She went to East Germany as well. Oh, she traveled all the way to Jonestown, and she was a part of the People's Temple. Can you believe this? How many of us remember Jim Jones? Now, in the mid-1970s, Jim Jones, who developed the cult People's Temple, initiated friendships with progressive leaders in the San Francisco area, including Dennis Banks of the American Indian Movement and Angela Davies. On September 10, 1977, 14 months before the temple's mass murder-suicide, Davies spoke via amateur radio telephone patch to members of his People's Temple living in Jonestown in Guyana. In a statement during the 6-day siege, she expressed support for the People's Temple anti-racism efforts and told members there was a conspiracy against them. She said, when you are attacked, it is because of your progressive stand, and we feel that it is directly an attack against us all. On February 28, 1978, Davies wrote to President Jimmy Carter asking him not to assist in efforts to retrieve a child from Jonestown, a letter called Jones, a humanitarian in the broadcast sense of the word. But she was mistaken. Jim Jones killed so many people in a mass suicide. Today, my brother, my sister, she later went into full academic career, wrote so many books on philosophy. My brother, my sister, she went into political activisms, and then she declared herself as 100% gay. In other words, she was lesbian. In fact, but in 1980, she was married to a man by name Hilton Brightwaite. The marriage fell after 2.5 years. And in 1997, she came out as a lesbian in an interview with Out magazine. By 2020, Davies was living openly with her partner, another woman by name Gina Tent. So she is a lesbian. My brother, my sister, she's written so many books, including If They Come in the Morning, Voices of Resistance. She also wrote an autobiography, that's The Random House, and also wrote Joan Little, The Dialectics of Rape. She also wrote Women, Race and Class. She's written over 10 books and even more. She's granted so many interviews. Today we remember you. We remember this pretty black woman who has fought very, very strongly against white dominance and racism in America and beyond. She might not always be right, but she sought to be right. My brother, my sister, this is Angela Davies.
To worry, to worry.